Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews, and we are ranking Disney. This is the show we do once a month where we like to pick a year and we rank the films from Disney Studios from that year. And this month, we are doing 2021, this last
Yay!
year.
Which just ended.
Yes. And we have a ton of movies to talk about, 24 total.
24. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Stanford is here.
Hey, Rachel. Thanks so much for inviting me. This is so fun.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yes. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. It's so hard because these films are so different. But I know that there's a few that we will have very different, but it's going to be interesting to see
Yeah. I really
how.
this comparison, I think it's gonna be very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple that we didn't include that would be considered part of the Disney Studios for 2021. We didn't include Antlers, and we didn't include Kingsman because Kingsman, I have not seen either of the other ones, and I just didn't have time right now to see them. And it just you weren't interested, and so we passed on that
Yeah.
one.
I had seen the previous two Kingsmen and I just couldn't see another one. It looked like it was gonna be so ultra violent, which I know
Yeah,
is kind of the hallmark of that film or that series, and it's not for me. So
yeah, and we're both kind of horror wimps, so
yeah,
Antlers.
yeah, pass.
For us. So if you've seen either of those, please let us know your thoughts
Yeah,
in the
absolutely. I
comments.
definitely want to hear what people think of those. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to say that if we were including shorts, which would make this list so long, uh, but for me, the best piece of animation that Disney made in 2021, and this is a hot take, I guess, but I thought the short Us Again, it would have been number 2 in this ranking if I was including it. It's in my top 10 favorite movies of 2021.
Wow, it
I
was
just
so good.
absolutely loved it. It made
I
me
did too.
cry every time I watched
Yeah,
it.
it's just delightful.
It was so beautiful. And I love the choreography. I love the animation. I love the music. It was one of the best films, period, that I
Yeah,
saw in all of 2021.
yeah, it was so expertly done, so touching and life affirming and romantic and
Hmm.
wonderful and sad, and I mean just every
Yeah.
emotion it packed into that short film, and then just the gorgeous animation
Yeah.
from Walt Disney
Just,
Animation Studios. It's just brilliant
yeah.
stuff.
If it doesn't get nominated for Best Animated Short, I will riot.
Oh, I will be so sad. I'm hoping that it's at least can get a nomination. It seems like it's almost too feel good to win, but you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
Paperman won,
True.
and
True.
anyway, fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's hope. It was definitely, like I said, one of the best pieces of
Yeah,
film I saw in the whole year.
yeah,
I
I support
I
that.
just loved it. So anyway, well, let's dive in. It was a very eclectic, interesting year for Walt Disney Animation Studio. I mean, Walt Disney Studios, and of course, that includes Century Fox. It includes Marvel, Fox Searchlight. Uh, Disney Animation, Pixar, Disney Channel,
Yeah, it
so
includes
many
the
different.
DComs, and then Disney Plus had
Hmm. Yeah,
some I guess quote unquote original films that debuted there. So
yeah,
we tried to, and I really don't think we missed anything, Rachel. Between the two of us, I think we we got it
yeah,
covered. So maybe people could let us know if there's something that they think we might have missed or something. But
yeah. And you
anyway,
got a free month of not having to watch any Disney nature. So congratulations.
thank you. I was so grateful. Like, oh, I gotta get over my disdain for nature documentaries. Oh
Well,
dear.
let's dive in. So number 24 for me was Home Sweet Home Alone. I just don't know what they were thinking with this, why they thought it was a good idea to make the thieves, the wet bandits, to make them sympathetic, to make them losing their home and this couple. that's the last thing that you want in a Home Alone movie, because then they're going to go and basically be tortured. And I don't know, it was just so misguided. I just it was bad. It was really bad, and it's number 24 for me.
Yeah, it's number 23 for me. It's a
Yeah.
terrible film, and I would not have watched it had we were not doing this because I kind of stopped watching the Home Alone films after the original because the
Yeah.
original cute classic, and then every other one just seems like really why do we
I
have the same thing and repeat? And I'm
yeah.
with you. I thought this one was so misguided. One of the things that kind of made me sad was you know um little Archie Yates, who
Yeah.
was the little child actor who was so good in Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
It's such a bad role for him. I
Well,
thought he wasn't good in it, and
yeah.
and and plus, I mean, what they gave him to do was terrible
Yeah.
too. You know?
It was just so misguided. It's like, say you don't understand the appeal of Home Alone without saying it, that whole
Yeah,
meme,
yeah,
because that's what we like is the whole idea. Especially children love the idea of Kevin McAllister figuring things out on his own and defending the house on his own. And,
yeah,
I think some of the best parts of Home Alone are him dealing with the furnace and buying a toothbrush and, just stuff like that. That's what makes you endeared. It makes you love the character. And so really the booby trap sequences is only about 20 minutes of the movie. And they not only are bad dudes, but they're going to kill him.
yeah,
Like, there's
yeah.
definite real
There's a
threat.
real threat.
Yeah. And so this just, I don't know what they were thinking, but it was very bad. And I mean, I guess I have a little bit of fondness for the second one just because of Tim Curry, and he's pretty funny in it. And
Yeah,
it
good
is
point.
basically the same plot over again, but in New York. But there's enough to make it tolerable. I actually haven't seen 3, 4, or 5. I
I'm
never
not
did.
sure I have. In fact, yeah, I can probably safely say no. I haven't seen those
But, Home Alone was a
intentionally.
foundation movie for me. I saw it when I was almost 10 years old with my grandparents. It's the first comedy that I ever really loved. And so it has a very special place in my heart. So, to see them do this when they had all of the pieces they could have done something interesting, but it was
Yeah,
just bad.
and a waste of talent, because I think Rob Delaney and Ellie
Yeah,
Kemper, they can be funny,
right.
But in this one, it was just like, oh, so bad.
And the booby traps were not believable. Like, for the most part in the original, the booby traps feel like something that Kevin could have done for
They
the
were
most part.
based in, yeah, a certain level of reality where these were so ridiculous.
Yeah. Like, he
Yeah,
can't move that whole trampoline, and
right.
then, just stuff like that he does. It's ridiculous.
And
So,
and then his plan of action that he draws on that chalkboard wall, which like is 3 times his height too. I mean, the whole thing is just like
yeah.
what? It's just anyway. Uh,
So what did
really,
you have at 24 then?
I have Vacation Friends.
Yeah, I have
At,
that at 23. So
okay,
we're basically at the same.
yeah. So we're pretty close. I I put Vacation Friends at the bottom, Rachel, just because it was so crass, and
Mm,
that was a little. Even though probably Home Alone probably deserved more of the bottom spot, but because just the gross out humor of Vacation Friends for me, I was
yeah. Well, the first part when they were on the vacation on the island or whatever, like, that I actually laughed a little bit. But then when they're on the fox hunt and we get basically all the same jokes again, and just was like, oh my gosh, these people are so annoying.
yeah,
And it was just it was not good. I kind of thought that Meredith Hagner had some funny parts. She was probably my favorite of the four,
yeah,
but as kind of this ditzy blonde actor, and maybe I just have an affection for her because she's done some Hallmark movies, but and some good Hallmark movies actually, but it just boy, when it gets to that fox hunt, it is just bad.
It's so bad,
That whole section was so hard to get through.
and Little Ray Harry, if I'm saying his name right, you know, I think he's got some comedic chops, but also I just kind of felt like he was channeling Kevin Hart,
Mm-hmm. I did too.
and 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 John Cena. I think also has got some comedic potential as well, but just the movie was just too stupid and too crass. It was terrible for me.
Yeah, yeah. And
Painful,
it
a
just has to
painful
be
watch.
funny. Like if it's funny,
Yeah,
I'll laugh at the
exactly.
crassness. Like
I
Meredith
will laugh.
Hagner. Meredith Hagner was in Palm Springs, which is kind of crass. But it's also really funny and
Funny and
clever.
charming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where this just didn't have any, for me, yeah, nothing. Because I'm with you. I mean, sometimes I do it, and I'm a little embarrassed by it. But if it's funny, it's funny,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but this, oof,
Yeah.
that was rough.
Well, what did you have at 22?
22, I have The Last Duel.
Ooh. For some reason, I thought you liked this movie more. I have it, I guess, a little higher, but I didn't go fresh on it. So,
No, if I gave that impression, maybe I was just trying to be neutral about it.
or
But
maybe I'm just getting my people confused. I can't
I
remember.
didn't care for it.
Yeah.
I think that it was ambitious. I was happy to see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck back on the screen together. I liked all the actors. I think it was, and the concept was interesting, but then it was for me. I mean, I guess just for lack of a better word, super boring, and then super horrifying to have to watch a rape 3 times.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's what I just don't understand what they were thinking with that. Like, why not pull up i- for at least for that, like show all the other stuff. And I don't
we
know, I
had to
just
watch
felt
the
like,
whole thing
I
three
felt like,
times.
yeah, and I felt like the different stories like weren't different in very interesting ways or that were very intriguing. So it just felt like, well, I'm hearing this story again.
Yeah, there wasn't enough of a difference, I didn't
Right.
think,
I
between the
agree.
three of them. And
And it's good performances. The ending is, I think, pretty good, but uh, I mean, it's hard when something's so handsomely mounted. But I felt like Matt Damon was kind of miscast
yeah, I was gonna
in
say
the
that was
role.
even though I was happy to see both Matt Damon and Ben Affleck back on the big screen together.
Mm,
Yeah, I didn't think he was really good in that role.
no, so I guess I have it a little higher, but like I said, I did not go fresh on it, and despite it's has some good things. I think Jodie Comer's really good in it,
Jodie Comer was terrific. One
and I wish it
complaint,
just been from her perspective the whole time.
yeah, one complaint too for me, Rachel, was that when it does get to the last duel, and I mean, I know they were going for historical accuracy, whatever, and I can't fault them for that. But it's so gruesome,
Yeah,
that even though I don't know what else they could have done, given that it's 13th century France and the title of the movie is The Last Duel, it was way too much for me.
it was pretty graphic. Well, I have Diary of a Wimpy Kid at 22.
Okay,
I
I have it at
didn't
21.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't care for the animation. I didn't I don't know. I mean, maybe it's fine for little kids, but I just thought it looked really ugly.
have you read any of those books, Rach?
I've never read any of the books, but I've seen a couple of the live action movies and they were
Yeah,
fun
me too.
enough.
They were cute enough. I've seen some live action. I've never read the books. I'm familiar with them and familiar with the art style of the author, Jeff. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
Kinney,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. I don't know, I just really disliked the animation and it's not that different than what we saw from DreamWorks with the Captain Underpants movie, but for whatever reason, I just enjoyed that one so much more. I found it more aesthetically pleasing and this just felt really cheap. I mean, it's only 58 minutes, so it's barely a movie and the animation felt really cheap.
You know, I was wondering about that too because again, uh, it seemed. I guess I was with the concept. I was happy that they were trying an animated version of it. I thought, well, that's an interesting concept, because rather than this live action stuff that they've done, which I know includes some animation, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
but uh, it just and I thought that again, that's why I was wondering why you're familiar with the books, because I didn't really think that um, the main, character,
Hmm.
and again, here I am drawing a blank. Uh, his name, he's not very likable.
Yeah.
You
Greg.
know, Greg. Sorry, yeah, Greg is not very likable. It's his friend. It's Rowley, right? Who's a
Yeah, he
lot
is
more.
kind of a jerk, uh, and you have to deal with Roderick too, who's also kind of a jerk. And I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. Like I said, maybe little kids would like it. I
Yeah,
don't
that's what I'm
know.
wondering. Again, definitely, I'm not the target audience, but yeah,
But there's so many great animated films, even just on Disney Plus. There's no reason to watch this, even for the kids. So you had Last Duel at 22. You have Wimpy Kid
sorry,
at
Wimpy Kid at
21.
21. Yeah, what
Okay,
did you have then at 21?
at 21, I have Under Wraps, and I like
Decom.
the decom. um, so the original Under Wraps was the first decom. I don't know if you knew that, but it was the first decom
No, I
that
didn't know that. See, you're
yeah,
teaching me
and so
all the ways of the decom, Rach.
and
I am a
the first
Padawan.
one is just so much better that it's hard not to compare the two. This felt, I mean, even for decoms, to me, this felt really cheap. It felt like most of the movie was shot in a warehouse. Um, and whereas like the other one, the original, it's at least outside most of the time. I don't know, like, and there's some really creative parts of the original. There's lots of homages to classic horror, and there's this great opening sequence that's supposed to be in a horror movie that they're watching, and they a a butcher knife gets stuck in the disposal, and which is pretty grisly. And so it's like swirling around and around, and they're just getting their face closest. And so, I mean, for somebody for that genre, I think that that's actually kind of fun. It's like over the top, and I like it. I like it when we can introduce kids to different genres, even say a slasher movie, and see what do they like it, and and then in a way that's like palatable for them, and it's not going to like traumatize them. So I appreciate that about the original. I don't know, just the original is just way better. So that's part of the reason why this was so low for me.
You know, why did Disney remake it? I mean, it's not
I
particularly that old, right? What was the first decom? Wasn't it 20 years ago, or I don't know what
and
the.
yeah, so the first one was from 1997, I believe.
Okay, okay.
And yeah, I mean,
Like it probably didn't need to be
I
remade,
don't know
right?
why they
But
remade it, and I hope they
but
don't remake any others.
right. But because I didn't, I have it a little higher, but I didn't really like it that much either. I just
Yeah.
didn't. And it wasn't so much even, because again, you know how I feel about horror, but I didn't feel like it was that at all. It just was dumb.
Yeah. Like
I
the original is actually kind of charming. The friendship between Harold, the mummy, and the little boy is cute, and like I said, there's homages to sort of classic Universal monster
which is a
movies
fun
and things
idea.
like. Yeah, it's decent. It's decent, and I had a lot of fun with both of them. With collabs I did with Lee from Drum Dumps, his YouTube channel. He's a horror YouTuber, and so we did a collab where we both reviewed the original Under Wraps, and that was really fun. And so that was enjoyable. But what do you have at 20?
At 20, I have Ron's Gone Wrong, and that maybe is a little low, but uh, I because I can't say like I necessarily hated the film. I just felt like I just didn't enjoy I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy watching it. I thought, you know, again, I know this was something that came over from Fox, right? When after Disney bought 20th
Yeah.
Century Fox, uh, and there's there was some stuff appealing about it. I thought the main character arc was kind of interesting, but overall, I just kind of it didn't
Mm-hmm.
work for me.
I thought it was pretty cute. I have it higher. I mean, it's hard because it feels very derivative of a lot of
Yeah,
other films that we've seen.
right.
But I thought that the design of Ron was so cute, and it had enough like humor.
Yeah,
I have it
there's
a little higher, but yeah, it was a little boring too. I
enough humor.
I got to see it at the AMC and at the Grove when I was out for Animationist Film
Oh
Festival, so
yeah,
that was
see now
pretty
that would have
fun.
been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But my number 20, and I know you have this much higher, is Eternals. I have it 20. I just did not like it. I thought it was really jumbled. The script was zipping all over the place. I couldn't keep track of what the heck was going on with the characters, with the story. I was just pretty bored. I mean, it looked nice, but I I don't know. I found it extremely confusing and difficult to follow. And if I feel that way when I'm watching a movie, I'm just not enjoying myself. If I'm feeling frustrated and like I have to take notes and figure out, who all these characters are,
right,
and so yeah, I don't know. I think it would have helped maybe if they'd had a character from the MCU, like they usually do in
right,
these movies to kind of,
right.
like, and I think they should have made it a miniseries because you have one episode with each of the 10 Eternals. That would have made a lot more sense.
It could have
Also,
been really interesting. Yeah,
yeah, also the gifts that they are given don't really make sense to me much if they're supposed to be protecting the world. I mean, some of them seem way more helpful than helpful than others. That's for sure. you know, um, And I don't know, I was very disappointed by it. I didn't enjoy it. So it's one of my least favorite Marvel movies, to be honest.
I have
Um,
it a little higher, but but everything you say, Rachel, I think you're kind of spot on because that it's definitely problematic in a lot of ways.
I mean, other
Yeah,
people really like that sort of the challenge, of feeling like, oh, they're not being spoon fed, and I understand that, but if it's a movie as long as this, and it's just not, that's just not what I enjoy when I'm going to a blockbuster. Is just muddled and confusion.
yeah, yeah,
And like 1 minute the characters you're supposed to be rooting for them and the hero, and then the next minute they're betraying our characters and even trying killing some of them, and then the next minute you're supposed to be rooting for them again because they were jumping around all these timelines.
yeah, yeah.
So, so did you already say you're 20?
No, my 20. Oh, I did. Yeah, sorry. Ron's gone wrong.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, so at 19 is where I have the last duel.
Okay.
And I agree with you. I didn't go fresh on it. I do think it feels repetitive more than it's interesting. But I think it is beautifully made. It was ambitious. And I guess I liked it slightly more than Eternals.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think they were both ambitious blockbusters that to me didn't work. It comes down
Hmm.
to story, 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 story.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, what do you have at 19?
19, I have Flora and Ulysses.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, this was a Disney Plus
Mm-hmm.
original, and I thought it looked one of the like cute and it had potential, and I was so bored.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and again, maybe I just was watching it on a bad day or something. I'll give it that, but I just it just really didn't work for me.
Yeah, I have that higher, but it's no Timmy failure. I'll say that.
I know Timmy Failure is kind of like the benchmark of a Disney Plus, original film that because that one was just so solid, such a classic, with everything that I love about a Disney family comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. For 18, I
What's
have
your
Nightmare.
19 again, Rach? I'm sorry.
19 is The Last Duel.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
18, I have Nightmare Alley. And, it's beautifully made. I haven't seen the original. Uh, I don't know. I found it really boring, really slow. I was just not interested in the characters. And I don't know. I have to admit, when I watched it, I was very tired. I just, I'd watched like 6 movies that day, trying to cram it in. They'd given it to us last minute for voting, for our awards. And so maybe if I wasn't so tired, if I give it another shot, but it's a really long movie. And I don't know, it didn't draw me in with the
Uh-huh.
story.
Yeah, I have a little higher, uh, but yeah, I can understand. It's not. It's an imperfect film.
Hmm. So what do you have at 18?
At 18, I have Under Wraps.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So from here onward, for me, everything would be considered fresh,
Okay.
forward. So pretty good. Number 17, and I know you have this one way higher. I have Cruella at 17. I don't know. I liked it enough to give it fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. The performances are the main draw for me. The fashion, the costumes, incredible. But my biggest problem with the movie is that uh, they have like 3 heists. And like the first one, I was like, oh, this is so fun. And then the second one, I'm like, not as into it. And then the third one, I'm like, okay, this is starting to feel really repetitive. This movie was way too long.
Yeah.
And I just don't really understand why Disney is trying to like make all of their quote unquote villains nice people all of a sudden. We're supposed to sympathize for
Them
them.
to be
That's a trend that I
sympathetic.
really don't like.
Oh, amen.
And I mean, we're supposed to feel by the ending of this movie, they basically set up the animated film. We get Roger and Nita, we get Pongo and Purdy,
Pongo and
we get,
Purdy.
and so is she going to be killing puppies, or is that all of a sudden is this fan fiction, and she's not going to be that anymore? Um, because I mean, she wants them to chloroform them in the next movie, and I'm like, we're supposed to be sympathetic to this. I thought it was a really weird idea. Um, so it was enough to give a mild recommendation to, but I don't know. I have it at 17.
I do have Krell higher, uh, and I can't believe it. I think it's part of the point. Is like, I like this movie, and what's happened to me? Because you know how much I despise these live action remakes and reframing of, like we talked about with those Maleficent movies. Like, what in the world? She's Maleficent. She's
Yeah.
not some misunderstood person who's a victim. It was like, now she's Maleficent anyway.
Like
Uh,
kids naturally understand that kids are naturally sympathetic. They have to be kind of treated poorly in order to lose that sympathy, you know?
mhm.
And like a kid will go up to a hardened criminal and give them a hug because they don't know, they don't
Yeah,
know. And so you don't have to go out of your way to explain to kids that 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 everybody has a sympathetic backstory.
yeah,
They know. But what you do have to teach kids is how to make choices and what is wrong and what is right and how to treat people in the world. And so by making all of these movies uh, without a clear dichotomy of good and evil, I think it makes them morally confusing sometimes. And then also, I think it makes the characters really bland because everybody is the same. There's nobody that has any like good or bad. So they're all just kind of lukewarm.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
my problem.
Hmm.
But there were good things about this movie. I did recommend it. I really liked the fashion. I really liked the performances. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got higher. I guess we can revisit it here in a bit.
Yeah. So what do you have at 17?
At 17, I have Christmas Again.
Okay. Yes.
The decom.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. I have that actually quite a bit higher. I mean, it's a Christmas movie.
I
Of
was gonna
course I
say
do.
it's a Christmas movie, and I don't wish any disrespect with where I with
Hmm.
where I ranked it. I think for me the problem I like the concept, uh, the
Hmm.
script kind of drove me crazy, but again, I'm a big fan of a good character arc, and
Hmm.
I mean it was Groundhog Day, but at Christmas,
Yeah,
uh,
for a little girl.
for
There are actually a
with
couple time
a
loop
little girl.
movies this season, this Christmas season.
What's another one
They
or the
what's
other
it
one?
called? What's it called?
Was it on
Uh,
Hallmark?
yeah, there's it's called there was one called Next Stop Christmas, which um which was her going back and kind of back in time, and she keeps experiencing the same past Christmas over and over again, and it has Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson in it, which was pretty
Oh,
fun.
that's a fun idea.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was another one, but I can't think of it. But anyway, there was the theme this holiday season was kind of loop movies. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so let me see if I can think. Oh, the other one is one called A Chance for Christmas, and this was actually on the Tubi app. And
Okay.
yeah, it's about a social media YouTuber who has kind of created this fake family, and uh, they end up. She's got this big presentation that if she gets a certain number of likes or whatever, that she'll make $1 million. But then she ends up in this time loop, and she keeps reliving the same Christmas over and over and over again. And it had like a little bit of an edge to it compared to Hallmark,
Uh-huh.
and it was pretty funny. It was a little cynical for my Christmas taste,
Yeah.
but worth checking out. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. So those are two that I at least thought of.
Interesting. Yeah, that's the theme. The
Yeah.
theme of 2021 Christmas movies. That's fun.
Yeah. All right. Number 16, I have Jungle Cruise.
Okay.
And I
I
just
have the tick higher, but
yeah.
yeah, it just wasn't that good.
It I gave it a mild recommendation. It just it could have been great. And so it's frustrating. Like it has so much potential. It has all of the
I
ingredients.
know all the ingredients to just have knocked it out of the park, and
Great cast.
yeah,
It's got great, visuals
high
and
production
sense of
values. Yeah.
adventure. But man, when it's that like middle flashback section, which
Ooh,
is long, and it was
so
just like
long.
this huge exposition dump, and you're like, that's not what you want in an adventure.
No, exactly. That was disappointing.
Yeah, it's like, oh man. And I thought that Jack Whitehall was the best part of the movie. I thought he was funny, but
I loved, I thought The Rock and Emily Blunt had such great chemistry together,
mhm.
uh, but just not a great script.
It just wasn't a great script. That's what it always comes down to, the
Yeah,
script.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What's your 16?
At 16, I have Spin,
I have it at
which
15,
is
so
yeah,
close.
okay, decom. And honestly, I think this is one of my favorite decoms
Yeah.
that I've watched since we've been doing these uh, annual,
Yeah.
reviews. I just thought it was so well made. Uh, I I loved the story. I thought the acting was good,
Yeah.
and it's just it's really solid for me. A really solid decom.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. Even though, like I have no interest in DJing or whatever it is, but like it was just had good characters and good
Yes,
writing. And,
yeah,
it's nice to be celebrating some diversity. And I liked the
absolutely.
fact that they didn't really have a romance,
Yes, I like
which
that
was
too.
good. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt like it was well made, well shot. It was
Yeah,
good.
it was. That's what I agree. That's what I think one of the things I liked about it. I thought the director doing I mean, it just looked great,
Mhm.
and really, good work.
Yeah.
The decom team.
Way to go.
Hope they're doing another one.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
another
spin
spin. I
again.
mean, like the team. The team is going to create another story.
I agree. Yeah. So yeah, I have that at 15. What do you have at 15?
At 15, I have Black Widow.
Okay. Yeah, I have that at 13, so we're not too far off.
Yeah, that's very fair to the rest of the cast because they're great. Florence Pugh is great. Yeah, love David Harbour and Rachel Weisz, and I thought it was a pretty enjoyable film. But wow, that made me so mad.
Yeah, so when I first watched it, I was also really tired because we had traveled the whole day, and I'd promised my niece to take her there to take her to the screening, and so we went right from literally from traveling to the theater. And so I was like, I enjoyed it, but then I watched it again actually on a plane flight later on. I was like, that was really fun. I really enjoyed it when I went to New York. And I liked the chemistry between the family, and I liked getting kind of the that backstory. It did feel a little bit sort of a little bit too late. Why did they it's kind of weird that both of the female led Marvel movies have both been prequels, which is kind of weird. It's like
Yeah.
both Captain Marvel was set in the 90s and then this set in the past. And it just feels like they're kind of making up for lost time. But I like Scarlett Johansson. It was a perfectly serviceable Marvel movie, in my opinion. I thought Taskmaster was pretty lame of a villain, very forgettable. And I was expecting them to go more into sort of the red rooms, and they did a little bit, but those scenes in Civil War were so, in Ultron were so moving,
Yeah.
and so I was expecting this movie to be kind of darker than it ended up being. But it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable enough for me. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. For my number four, I have that at 13. My 14 is where I have Flora and Ulysses.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that the little girl was really cute, and I really liked. I mean, I think maybe because I was a pretty diehard How I Met Your Mother fan before it broke my heart, but I love Allison Hannigan. I liked her role as this sort of romance novelist. I thought she
Yeah,
was funny, and
she was good in that role.
and Ben Schwartz was great as her dad, and I thought they had a nice little chemistry together. It's nothing that is too memorable or anything. It's no Timmy Failures, as I said,
Yeah,
but
I know.
it was cute
Our
enough, I
benchmark.
guess. It was cute enough. So what do you have at 14?
At 14, I have Eternals.
Okay.
I just all the stuff that you said. I quite enjoyed the puzzle of it,
Hmm.
and I just I thought it was beautifully filmed, and I didn't really understand what's going on, and I kind of it didn't bother me at the time,
Yeah.
but reflecting on it, and then of course having to do this ranking, I just thought it's just not top tier Marvel, or really for me a top 10 film. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate they swung and missed, but it was still a miss nonetheless. Uh, so what do you have at 13?
at 13 I have Nightmare Alley.
Okay. Yeah.
So I I watched so Guillermo del Toro, who directed this movie, he was a guest host on Turner Classic Movies last month, uh, near when it opened, because Nightmare Alley opened up in December in theaters, and he talked about some other film noir that he liked, and then they showed Turner Classic Movies screened the 1947 original film of Nightmare Alley. It's based on the book, but Tyrone Power stars in this 1947 one. So anyway, so I've seen both, and uh, it actually helped seeing the
Yeah,
old
I bet
one.
that's true.
It helped seeing it because I'm with you because it's this remake, it's not. I gave it extra points because it's so stylish. I thought I was really taken with
Yeah.
the production design, and I also thought that the cinematography was excellent, and the acting's. I mean, hello, the A-list
Yeah.
actors,
Yeah.
throughout too. Uh, but I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed it as much had I not seen, the original.
I'd like
Uh,
to do that. See the original
yeah,
and then watch it when I'm a little bit not as tired.
yeah, because I think it's one of those that it's staying with me, which makes me means that it made me really made me
Mhm.
think.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's it's not that this is a prerequisite to be a highly rated. It's a downer of a film. It's just a downer of a story. Just because these
Yeah.
people are pretty much most of them are pretty despicable.
Yeah.
At least the main character. He's a
Yeah.
horrible man.
It
But
really is.
anyway, uh, stylish. Definitely, I don't think Guillermo del Toro's best, but still, he's a good director.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
there's no
he's
question.
he's a good
Yeah.
director.
Well, number 12 is where I have, Ron's Gone Wrong.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just thought it was a sweet story. I thought the family was pretty funny. His, like, Croatian family
Hmm.
were pretty funny, and, it's just tough when you have Mitchell's vs. the Machines this year, which is
I know.
similar and so
Say
much
there's some
better.
similarities with Mitchell's versus the Machines, and which of course does it so much better.
Yeah.
Uh,
And also, it's just so similar to Big Hero 6. I mean, almost the same story. Uh, but but I did like the design of Ron, the thing. I was like, I want one of those. Like,
those little yeah, the
not
little
the
robot.
ending Ron. I want the beginning Ron. I'm like, I want one of those. Those look great. Um, so I don't know. Maybe it was partly because I, did see it at the Grove, the AMC, and
Yeah,
um, I would be very curious to see what Locksmith does next. I think it's a pretty decent start for an animation studio.
yeah. Yeah. I'm wondering what do you think they're gonna? They got an ongoing deal with 20th Century slash Disney, or are they? I don't know how that's gonna work
Yeah,
moving
I don't
forward.
know. I'd be interested to know.
Yeah.
But let's see. Where are you at? I forget.
So number 12, right? Is that where that was
That's where I
your?
just number
So
12. I have
for
Black
my number
Widow at
12
13.
is Jungle Cruise.
Okay, Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have at 11, I have The French Dispatch. And I like Wes Anderson. I think he's makes some really good films. I love Grand Budapest Hotel. It's one of my favorites. But I mean, and I enjoyed this. I gave it a positive review. I liked some of the stories kind of better than others. Um, I liked probably the first story with the artist probably the best of the group. The one with Frances McDormand and Timothée Chalamet. That one didn't really do much for me.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, you've got all of the great production design, incredible talent in this, um, and I loved the animated sequence. That was really fun.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it, but I just is to me is sort of a lesser Wes Anderson effort.
Hmm.
So I have it at 11.
I have just a couple notches. I have it at number 9, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of close. At number 11 for me is Free Guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was such a
Uh,
surprise.
Free Guy was super fun,
Mm-hmm.
and just just solid entertainment, and not terrible at all. In fact, it was good. It was just it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, I'm with you. It was a surprise and a pleasant one at
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. Well, my number 10, so now we're in our top 10. My number 10 is where I have Christmas Again.
Okay.
And there's an interesting kind of backstory about this movie. So I actually interviewed the director, and the director Andy Fickman, and I had done the interview on their Zoom, not on my Zoom. And when I went to go find it to edit it, I could not find it anywhere.
Oh
It
my
was just
goodness.
not on any computer. It wasn't on any files.
Heart
I
attack.
finally had to message them. Did they have it? And they didn't have it anymore, or they said they didn't have it, and so I was just like panicking, and I felt so bad. And so what I ended up having to do was I basically kind of remembered enough of what he said, and so I did a review slash article on it at Rotoscopers, where I included quotes from him, and and they were fine with that. They said as long as there was coverage, that was fine. But I felt just so bad about having lost that interview, and anyway, it was very stressful.
Oh,
Uh,
seriously.
but I did actually enjoy the movie. I mean, obviously, I love Christmas movies, and I thought the whole idea of this young girl coming to sort of realize the the value in her dysfunctional family through the course of the different days, and I felt like they did a pretty good job of keeping the days interesting. Like they had a lot of set pieces for a TV movie. I mean, they had her at the there was a whole like carnival kind of day, and then there was a whole day where she was at the Wrigley Field. There was a lot of Chicago in this movie, and of course I asked him all about that, and I was just so sad because we had such a great discussion. And it's I think this would be such a fun movie to show to kids that are dealing with a divorce in the family, and as
Yeah.
opposed to a movie like The Parent Trap or something like that, where kind of paints an unrealistic depiction of divorce for kids. Like, this is pretty realistic,
Yeah.
and her understanding at the end of kind of her family and her role in her family, I thought was well done. And so, yeah, that's why for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always going to give a little bit of a bump to Christmas
Oh, for
movies.
sure. Hello.
So yeah, it's 10. But because I talked to the director, and he talked to about the like they have a great whole sequence where at the there's this I forget what it's called, but where it's like you're walking on it's like you're walking on glass in the high
Oh, one of
skyscraper.
those skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one has that where you lean against the glass and
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
pops out. Yeah.
Things like that. That I thought they did enough to kind of make each day, because they ended up having like over 30 days, and I thought they did enough to kind of keep it interesting. And I thought the casting was really good. The young girl, Scarlett Estevez, was good, and so anyway, that's why I have it at 10.
Hey, that's all good.
I
For
was
me
just
at number 10, oh, go ahead. Sorry. I
No,
didn't
I
mean to
was
interrupt.
just so grateful that they were okay with this solution,
Oh my
because
gosh.
I mean, the last people I
Rachel.
want to think that I'm some kind of flake is Disney Channel. Ugh.
Uh,
So
that
it
would,
all
yeah,
worked out, thankfully, but
stressful.
it was very
Um,
stressful.
ooh.
But sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, excuse me. At number 10, I have The Rescue,
Okay,
uh,
yeah.
which I thought was so good.
It's so good, huh?
It is so good. That story about that soccer team stuck in a cave. I mean, it captured the world's, kind of
Yeah.
attention and heart, really. And it's so remarkable. And this documentary is so good. I know some of the stuff, as it said in the credits, they had to recreate it.
Yeah.
Some of those, because I was thinking, how in the world do they have a camera there? At this point. But,
Yeah. I didn't see
no.
that at first, so I thought I was just baffled and marveled, because I saw it at TIFF, and
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
as part of
Yeah.
TIFF, and even with reenactments, the shots that they got are really impressive. And
Oh,
in this tiny little cave, and how they create that atmosphere, and you're just on the edge of your seat of
you are.
how are they going to be able to
How in the world?
save these kids, and then when they have to put them under, basically, in order to, and each one is sort of assigned a kid, and you're just rooting for these guys.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think the thing that I love, one of the things I loved, I mean, I loved everything about this, um, but was learning that it was these guys who were the hobbyists.
Yeah.
These guys that just like everybody in their their rail and their circles of family and friends that think they're crazy because they love to go dive through caves. But
Yeah.
here they're the ones who figured it out and saved it. And of course with the support of hundreds and hundreds of others, and then all the
Yeah. It was really cool because they're like, all this thing that everyone thought they were just crazy for, and they're like, oh,
hmm
see, now it actually matters. And
yeah.
yeah, I loved that too. And this by the same people did Free Solo, and I much prefer this over Free Solo. Like,
Oh, I could hardly watch Free Solo. I was just having a heart attack every minute. That.
but I mean, it was very impressive in many ways, but he was just such a jerk that I had a hard time being invested in his journey, like what he was
Yeah,
putting his family through and the way he treated people. Whereas all these are so easy to root for.
yeah. You're rooting for all these
Hmm.
people, and I like how they talk to some of their spouses and other
Yeah.
people. You really get a complex. You get a really interesting look at these people who are involved in this absolutely miraculous
Yeah.
event.
It's so good.
It's a great documentary,
Yeah,
fantastic. Highly recommend it on Disney Plus.
I agree. I agree. So my number 9 is actually Raya and the Last Dragon. I really enjoyed this. I
Yeah,
thought
I
it
have
had
it
a
at
lot.
number 8. I loved Raya too.
Yeah, thought it had a lot of really good things about it. I like Raya a lot as a character. The animation was beautiful. The action was really good. The music was really good. I wish that it had songs. I still think that it would have been a little bit more memorable if it had had songs. But I think that I can understand why some people, the whole idea of like, why should she trust her when she's literally betrayed her? I can understand that. I guess I didn't really. I hate when people say, "Oh, you overthought it," but I know I just kind of accepted it on face value. But I can understand that critique. But I think that I forget the dragon's name that could see
Sisu.
there was something more there. I don't think the message of the movie is just blindly trust everybody. I think that there's a little bit more to it than that. But anyway, I did I did enjoy it. I think like I said, the action, Rye as a character, really strong, and so yeah, I have it at 9.
Yeah, I have it at 8, and this was just talk about Raya. I was really just smitten with the animation,
Mm,
and and I can't say that there's anything that I necessarily give it a flaw. I just liked other films more.
yeah,
Uh, but so beautiful, and it's one of those films too. They all created from home. I
yeah,
think
that's true.
most of the animation was finished from home. I mean, they had been working on it for years,
Hmm.
but wow, beautiful. It's I think it's a beautiful film.
Yeah. So what did you have at 9?
And then I have the French Dispatch,
Okay, yeah.
uh, which I like. I think I'm with you. I think there are other Wes Anderson films I like more. Uh, the English major in me was just so thrilled with this. It was just so literary,
Oh yeah.
and I'm with you. That middle story with Timothy Chalamet and stuff was not, and Rachel, um, not Rachel, Francis.
Francis.
Sorry, Francis McDormand was just yeah, not the best, but there's just something pretty special, I think, about Wes Anderson's uh,
Yeah.
filmmaking style, and
Do you have a
and
favorite?
this well, my favorite actually is Rushmore, um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm with you on the Grand Budapest Hotel. Love it, love it, so good.
It's
I
so
also
good.
like the Fantastic Mr. Fox,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
but anyway, this one I was just happy, it just was smiling the whole time.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see why. So number 8, I have The Rescue.
Okay.
So yeah, it was so good. Everything
So
Marty
good.
said. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. That's where I have Raya.
Okay.
So
So
okay.
number 7, I kind of have a tie. Actually, my 6 and 7 are kind of tied. But number 7, I have Spider-Man: No Way
Yeah,
Home.
that's where I have it too.
Mm. Yeah, this was such a fun experience, both when I saw it with the critics, but then when I went to a normal screening. I went on opening night, and I when they bring back the characters, it was so satisfying and so much fun. And I thought the movie looked really good. I thought, and this is coming from someone who did not like Far From Home, hardly at all. I did not care for that movie. And so for them to kind of win me over as much as they did with this one, I think says a lot. And I thought like the whole plot contrivances to get to the like what Doctor Strange does is a little hard to believe, but the whole experience was so satisfying that I was willing to willing to be fine with that.
Yeah,
And it's one that I could imagine rewatching quite a bit.
I saw it on opening night too, and it was such a blast.
Yeah.
The crowd I was with was they were so amped, and yeah, when Andrew Garfield shows up, I mean the literally the place went bonkers,
Yeah.
and that was just a blast. And and then also when the sad stuff happens, like with Aunt May and things, I mean,
Right.
they were just into it, and a an enjoyable experience, to do that. And I'm glad that I know a lot of people. I mean, there's the comment that it's all fan service, uh, and maybe it is, but I didn't care. I just thought
Yeah. Me
this is a
too.
fun movie. This is an enjoyable movie, and I'm glad people are liking it. And holy cow, the world is seeing this movie
Yeah. It
too.
was fan service done well, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Very well.
yeah, well
Very
said.
good. So number 6, I have Shang Chi.
Okay, I have it at 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I felt about the same for both of these. I really enjoyed both of them. I thought they were both very entertaining. I love Simu Liu from Kim's Convenience. I
yeah.
love that show. So it was really fun to see him. Tony Leung, oh my gosh, is the most handsome man in the world. I love him so much. If you haven't seen In the Mood for Love, you need to see it.
That's
Oh
such a
my
good
gosh.
film.
He's so
Wow.
like he is one of the most talented too, but he is just so handsome in my opinion. And I just loved his character in this. It was so good. It was so rich. It was a really good villain. Invested enough by the time that, the big finale with all the fantasy creatures and stuff like that, that I was fine with it. And I thought that some of the action sequences were super fun. The whole scaffolding sequence I think was great. I liked Aquafina. I thought she was really fun. I really liked the redemption for the Mandarin because I didn't like that in Iron Man 3. And yeah, this was a really fun movie.
Yeah, it was my favorite Marvel
Yeah,
movie of
me
the
too.
year, and just everything. Yeah, just everything you said.
Mhm.
And uh, I just love martial arts films, and
Yeah.
so I thought that they aced this one. It was. I thought the action choreography was terrific, and just enjoyed it a lot.
Mhm. So, what do you have at 6?
So at 6, I have Cruella.
Okay.
And again, I can't believe I have this film. Like, what happened to me? So hopefully we'll see what happens in the future when all these other remakes come out, and I like them. Oh my gosh! But I think for me, just as a quick recap, uh, it was the performances, it was the
Mhm.
Emmas.
Yeah.
Both Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. I just thought they were delicious, and their performances were so good. And it was so stylish. I love the soundtrack. I love the
Oh
production
yeah.
design. I love the costumes, and so just I also love the relationship that they developed with Cruella and Horace and Jasper.
Mhm.
That just all for some reason it just all really worked for me. And
Yeah.
again, go figure, because I'm very much an opponent to
Like
these
if I had to
films.
pick, these kinds of remakes over the Lion Kings and
Like the shot for
your
shot.
yeah, and your Beauty and the Beast and your things like that. I mean, this is so much better. I would pick it
Yeah.
any day. Like, please, Disney, make more Cruellas and Mary Poppins
Right.
Returns and less. They're
Yeah.
probably
Less
like, why would we do
Lion
that
King.
when the other ones make over a
Yeah, they
billion
make $1 billion
dollars and these
like
don't?
Aladdin. Yeah, exactly.
I don't run the
Exactly.
studio, but that would be my preference. But
Yeah. Yeah.
at number 5 is where I have Free Guy. I really loved Free Guy. I saw it, I think, 4 times in the theater. I just thought it was really sweet and funny, and it had something to say, and I don't know. I just really enjoyed both love stories. And Jodie Comer again, great. I liked both of her roles in this.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi was a little over the top, but I just love him so much.
He's so great. I love him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, overall, I just thought it was like a really sweet romance. And so, I love romances, and a friendship movie as well. And so it was my favorite kind of blockbuster movie of the year.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was, yeah, as we said, what a surprise, and so yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Just what was
So
needed.
what do you have at 5?
Shang-Chi.
Okay, yeah. Well, number 4 is where I have West Side Story. I really enjoyed West Side Story. I thought that it was an improvement upon the original in several ways. The singing was better. The chemistry was better than in the original. And I thought it was a beautiful revival. It was in my top 20 movies of 2021. And so it's not a question of it not being great. The other 3 remaining, I guess I like a little bit more. But
Yeah.
it was really great. It was an incredible experience to watch. We watched it all together, and it was really fun.
Oh, that was so great
Hmm.
that we got to watch that. One quick comment. It sounds like our top 4 are the same.
Oh
Just
yeah, you're
saying.
right.
Just saying. And that's awesome.
Yeah, it
And
is.
so, whatever order they're in is just the whatever order they're in,
Yeah.
but that's great.
And
Wow.
I don't know if I expected that. I really didn't.
I wasn't sure about that either. So anyway, that's cool.
Uh,
Because these all movies are all
yeah.
fantastic. It's just a matter. My number 4 is Encanto,
Okay. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
which I just adored. I
Hmm.
just thought this again, stunning animation. Walt Disney Animation Studios is just their animation is unparalleled. I think they're just so good.
Another movie we
And
watched together.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. And uh, such a surprising storyline for me. I just didn't know what to expect, and it
Yeah.
wasn't what happened. And uh, I loved it. I just thought the way that they treated family and how respectful they were of the Colombian culture, and the delightful songs by Lin Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Just what a great time in the movies.
Yeah.
I've
And
got to watch. I haven't watched it yet on Disney Plus. I'm so happy it's on Disney Plus, and I might watch it tomorrow.
yeah, and having very flawed characters like the abuela,
Yeah,
that she wasn't like this kind of perfect older woman grandma character. Like, she was
very
flawed.
interesting.
Hmm. And we don't talk about Bruno. It's still, I think, the best
You know,
song.
that is the greatest
It's
song,
so
and then
good.
and as well as the way that they animated
Yeah.
it, the choreography in that
Hmm.
is so terrific, so delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was happy to see that it's, I think, one of the highest on the billboards of all the songs in the movie. I was like,
Okay.
yeah, I saw a thing about that today, and there was a
Uh,
whole YouTube video where they were talking about why it's the best Disney song in years, and they broke down sort of the way sync I can't talk. The way that the melody and the rhythm is done. So I was like, yeah, see, it's all reaffirming why I thought it was the best coming out
yeah,
of it.
yeah. Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. And it's one that everybody talks about.
yeah,
Everybody I talk about
it's
Encanto,
that
they're like, we
that
don't
and the
talk
Under
about Bruno.
Pressure song. I think are the two best songs
Hmm.
in the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But they're all good, and yeah, I love that. So my number 3 is Luca.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I thought,
I thought we were going to be quite. I mean, I wouldn't
yeah.
know what to expect, frankly, but I didn't. Yeah, that's yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, Luca was just such a pleasant,
Oh
relaxing
my
movie.
gosh,
It was
it's
such a
just
breath
a.
of fresh air.
It was,
Yeah.
just this breezy
Mhm.
trip to Italy. Albeit animated and with sea creatures, but it was, it was still. I loved it. It was just like
Mhm.
just this perfect. It was just like this perfect little movie that I needed at the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and
And I got to see
yeah.
it on the big screen at
Oh
Animations
yeah,
Film, and that was incredible.
with the
With the
director, right?
director,
Or with
yeah,
yeah.
that was really great. And I don't know, to me, it reminded me a lot of like a combination of Porco Rosso and Ponyo, and
Hmm. Yeah,
that's
definitely Studio Ghibli vibe,
yeah,
uh,
which
with it,
yeah. So I loved that, and
which is a plus, I mean,
yeah,
a compliment. Yeah.
I think it's one of the most rewatchable movies of the whole year. Like I could just put it on almost any time and just have it on the background and just enjoy it, you
Oh,
know?
absolutely.
Mhm.
And, uh, I lived in Italy for a while during college. That's where I served my mission
Yeah.
for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and, uh it just, so there's a special place in my heart for Italy, and I just felt they captured Italian culture in a way that I remembered it,
Mhm.
and that part I just loved. But I've had friends that that I knew from my time in Italy. They've watched it with Italian. You can
Oh.
change the language on Disney Plus, so they've watched the Italian dub. I haven't done that yet. I need to do that. I thought
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah, it just the characters were all really cute, and I loved the animation, and it was just relaxing. I prefer it over Soul, and I know that's a hot take, but I think it was better
Hey, you
writing.
like what you like.
Yeah, you know, that's exactly right. So number 2 is Where I Have Encanto.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
So what do you have at 2?
Summer of Soul.
I thought it was gonna be the hottest take that I had. Obviously that I have it at my number 1.
Yeah.
But so you have it at 2. That's great. It's an incredible
Oh,
film.
it's incredible. I've seen it twice. I saw it once. Did you see it at Sundance?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I saw. The Sundance pass I bought was that it was a virtual pass. It was for 24 hours, and you could watch like 8 of the highest of the films that like won the awards.
Mhm. Oh,
At
the
the
awards
festival.
pass, yeah.
Yeah, that awards pass. So, and maybe it was fewer films. Maybe it was 7 or something. I'm sorry that I'm
Yeah.
off, but uh anyway, that was hands down the favorite one of the films that I watched, from that with that awards pass. And then when I had a chance to see it on the big screen again in the summer, I took it because it's so fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I just couldn't believe that you think of all the times we've heard about Woodstock
Yeah.
over the years and that this happened at the same time, same year, and I had never heard of it,
Right.
and that this footage had never been released. And I said in my best of 2021 video that this movie made me a better person. And I really think that it did. Not only just, more educated, but
Yeah.
just, I don't know, just more aware of like a whole part of culture and a whole part of music and I don't
Hmm.
know, I just thought it was amazing that there's so many incredible sequences like when the one uh singer is with singing with Mahalia Jackson and she
Oh
talks
my
about it was like
goodness.
the greatest moment of her life and
Yeah.
it makes you
It's
cry.
amazing. Yeah.
And it did such a great job of having footage from the actual uh, event, but then also having interviews from people that were there, interviews from people that were influenced by it, and it just kept it clipping along. It was so well made, so well executed. It's my favorite. I thought that I really thought that it was gonna be like, what? You have a documentary number one? Absolutely. It was the best in my
Oh,
opinion.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I loved it too, and it would have been my number one until West Side Story came
Yeah.
out. That's what I have at number one
And it's great
because
too. So
I just well, part of it for me is I love. I mean, I've loved West Side Story forever. I mean, I've just listened to it my whole life.
mhm.
It's just been my parents had the Broadway cast recording. I think they had the original motion picture soundtrack too. Uh, and then and it's one of my favorite films, to the 1961
Mhm.
version. And when Steven Spielberg, or when they announced that there was going to be a remake, I mean, I just rolled my eyes, like, are you kidding me? Like, we don't
Yeah.
need another,
Me too.
need a remake of West Side Story, like, a hole in the head kind of thing. But oh my gosh, it just blew my mind what a good musical director was Steven Spielberg was with it, and it was just being able to have an ethnically appropriate cast, all great singers, and the music recorded so respectfully and just beautifully. Just being able to hear that Leonard Bernstein music
Mhm.
in a movie theater, so perfectly recorded. I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I'm chomping at the bit to go see it again on the big screen before it leaves. I
It's a
got to see it in IMAX. We you kindly we got to see it together at the uh, screening,
yeah.
and then I went and saw it in IMAX when it opened, and it just blew my mind
That's so cool.
because so loud, just with on those and on that IMAX sound system. I was in heaven. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it says a lot when my top 5 are were in my top 15 of the whole year, and I saw over 200 films. So it was a pretty strong
yeah,
year for, I would say for the Disney Studios.
you know, I think so too. Particularly when we look at, I mean, of course, lots of content, lots of varying quality, but boy, these top 5 films, they're all really solid,
Mhm.
really, really good. I love it. That's so great that again, our order was a little off, but again, I think
Yeah.
that's personal preference,
Yeah.
but still, it's
Well,
awesome.
and you're just by minutia. I mean, you can't hardly compare a
It
rock
was so
documentary
hard
to an animated, film. They're
yeah.
so different. But yeah, they're where I thought, oh, that you'd have Summer of Soul like 10, 11. So I'm really
Oh
pleased to see
no,
that you have it so high.
I loved
Yeah,
it.
it was so good.
Love, absolutely brilliant.
Well, let's go.
Everybody should see it.
Yes. Let's go over our rankings real
All
quick.
right.
So I have Summer of Soul at number 1. I have Encanto at 2, Luca at 3, West Side Story at 4, Free Guy at 5, Shang Qi at 6, Spider-Man No Way Home at 7, The Rescue at 8, Raya the Last Dragon at 9, Christmas Again at 10, The French Dispatch at 11, Ron's Gone Wrong at 12, Black Widow at 13, Flora and Ulysses at 14, Spin at 15, Jungle Cruise at 16, Cruella at 17, Nightmare Alley at 18, The Last Duel at 19, Eternals at 20, Under Wraps at 21, Diary of a Wimpy Kid at 22, Vacation Friends at 23, and Home Sweet Home Alone at 24.
All right. And I've got West Side Story at 1, Summer of Soul at 2, Luca at number 3, number 4 Encanto, number 5 Shang Chi, number 6 Cruella. Again, I can't believe it. Number 7 Spider Man No Way Home. Number 8 Raya and the Last Dragon. Number 9 The French Dispatch. Number 10 The Rescue. Number 11 Free Guy. Number 12 Jungle Cruise. 13 Nightmare Alley. 14 Eternals. 15 Black Widow. 16 Spin. 17 Christmas Again. 18 Under Wraps. 19 Flora and Ulysses. 20 Ron's Gone Wrong. 21 The Diary of a Wimpy Kid. 22 The Last Duel. 23 Home Sweet Home Alone, and 24 Vacation Friends.
Very good. We did it.
Yay!
Well, thank you so
What a year.
much for doing this.
Thank
And
you, Rachel. So fun to talk to you about these, and how fun to see where everything landed.
if you got to, because this is such a long podcast, because there were so many movies to talk about, if you get to the end of it, put hashtag Stan and Rach 21. So we know that you listened to the whole
Let me
thing.
know that you packed a lunch and
That's
listened to the
right.
whole thing.
But where can people find you and your content?
On Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark. I have a movie podcast and blog at moviespastandpresent.com. And I hope you follow me on Instagram. I'm at moviespap, as in past and present.
You can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. And also make sure you check out the Hallmarkies podcast. Lots of fun stuff over there. And please give your ratings and reviews if you're listening on iTunes. We really appreciate it so much. And also, if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our merch store. You can get hashtag Animation Junkie shirts. And please take a look at that. And we have the Patreon group, which is a lot of fun. And we have some special bonuses, exclusives. We get watch alongs. It's really good. So check it out. And thanks so much. This is always a blast. And we'll talk to you all later. Happy New Year.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
Bye.